And welcome to this important lecture series of Indian Council of Agriculture Research to celebrate a very noble cause, and that is to celebrate the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the golden 75 years of India's independence. Friends, in this series, we have a very important lecture today, and that is none other than Sadhguru for saving the soil, a biggest movement on this earth to save the soil. I welcome on behalf of Indian Council of Agriculture Research, on behalf of all the agriculture universities, to Sadhguru to agree to deliver this interactive discussion to respond to the questions. Friends, Sadhguru, who is the founder of ISA Foundation and a proponent of the Safe Soil movement across the world, he is also a spiritual leader and a yoga guru. So we welcome him on this important platform. Before I invite Sadhguru for taking up our questions, I will request to play an important video about the introduction about this whole movement. And that is a short video on the world's largest movement, people's movement to save the soil, led by Sadhguru, a mystic and visionary and founder of ISA Foundation. The movement touched over 3.9 billion people across the planet. So may I request to please play the video?
And global warming and various other aspects, but we are not addressing soil. Soil is the habitat upon which zillions of lives thrive. Once there is no richness in soil, then you have forsaken the planet in many ways. Every responsible scientist in the world and the UN agencies are clearly saying we have only 80 to 100 harvests left. That means approximately 45 to 50 years of agricultural soil left on the planet. By 2045, we will be producing 40% less food than what we are producing right now, and our populations will be 9.3 billion people. The food shortages that could manifest in the next 25 years, the consequences of that is unimaginable. Civil wars will unfold across the world once there is food shortage. What we are facing now is soil extinction. Why is soil becoming extinct? Where is it going away? What is happening to our soil? We must understand, if you add organic content to sand, sand will turn into soil. If you remove all organic content from the soil, soil will become sand. In normal agricultural soil, the minimum organic content should be between 3 to 6%. The most minimum is 3%. At least this minimum to keep the soil alive, to keep the soil as living soil is a must. Agricultural soils across the world, the depletion is so heavy. In most countries, more than 50% of the topsoil is already gone in the last 100 years. The nutrient levels have dropped significantly. The level of micronutrients you would get from your food in early 20th century to what you are getting from the same food now has dropped 90%. If you ate one orange in 1920s, what you got from it, now in 2020, if you have to get the same, you will have to eat 8 oranges. This is what we have done to our food.
Soil is the biggest ecosystem on the planet, and so few people know anything about it. 1 teaspoon of healthy soil probably contains more microbes than there are people on Earth.
The microbial life in the first 12 to 15 inches of topsoil is the basis of our existence. It is this magic beneath our feet which has produced the life that we are. This first 12 to 15 inches of soil is the basis of life for 87% of life on this planet, including you and me.
We have to begin to recognize that what we call our soil, Mother Earth, is a living organism.
Open soils, ripped open by ploughing, open to sunlight, is the basis of destruction of microbial life. So the focus should be on agriculture, the focus should be on seeing that land is under shade as much as possible, some kind of shade, grasses, herbs, bushes, trees. So it's extremely important that soil regeneration is enshrined in the policy of every government on the planet. We must change the narrative on the planet that soil is a wealth, a legacy we have received from previous generations, and we have to pass it on as living soil for future generations. We are in a cusp of time. If you do the right things now, in the next 15 to 25 years, we can significantly turn this situation around and regenerate the soil. But if we allow this to progress like this for another 30 to 40 years, after 40 years if we attempt this, then it could take 150 to 200 years because that much loss of biodiversity would have happened. From 21st of March for 100 days, the whole world, every human being on the planet should talk soil. We must hear the word soil, save soil everywhere to see that the narrative on the planet changes towards the most vital aspect of our life, the soil. Each one of you should reach as many people as you can to make this happen. As a part of this, to activate support from the citizenry to assure the governments long-term investments will be appreciated. I'm 65 and I'm riding 30,000 kilometers, a lone motorcycle journey, 30,000 kilometers across 24 nations.
Sadhguru, thank you for what you're doing.
Dear Sadhguru, one of the world's voices and leaders on soil conservation.
وابدا بالنسبه لنا في رابطه العالم الاسلامي
As for the Muslim World League, we are completely ready to help you.
You've inspired me to think about soil very differently. I love what you say that we're all part of the solution and we all have a role to play.
This is my appeal to every one of you, because I don't want this COP15 to end as one more convention with more paper and more paper. This must end with concrete action, and action in such a way that it's implementable. It is implementable and we will see a distinct change in the coming few years.
This is a perfect confluence of how we see things and the importance of the soil. Save the soil.
Our soil needs nourishment. Save soil. Let us make it happen.
सदगुरु जी ने यात्रा की, दुनिया को मिट्टी के प्रति स्नेह तो पैदा हुआ ही होगा, लेकिन भारत की मिट्टी की ताकत का भी परिचय मिला होगा।
I salute you, your energy and your dedication, and my full support of what is needed from the Palestinian side.
You honor the people of this country. I want to thank you very much.
And the movement that you have taken up, I could not expect any more God's blessing than that.
Sadhguru, and this campaign is so important.
We're going to save the soil. Do your part.
Let's save soil and create a conscious planet.
Save soil.
Save our soil.
Save soil.
Sadhguru, save soil, my friend.
Save soil. Let's make it happen.
Antigua and Barbuda is part of the Save Soil mission.
We commend you for what you're doing. That is why we are happy to sign the MOU.
The science and philosophy that backs the thought behind the movement is tremendous.
We'll welcome you in Hyderabad and please show us the right direction towards policy.
Save soil. Let's make it happen.
It is time to save the soil.
Save soil.
Save soil.
save soil. Let's make it happen.
We know what we must do, so let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Let's make this happen.
Let us make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Save soil. Let's make it happen.
Just 4 months ago, soil was not even in the conversation. For the first time, soil has come to the conversation. 193 nations have taken soil as a very serious thing right now. I beseech every one of you that you must keep the soil in conversation for the next few months till the policies are made in the world.
Soil is not our property. It's a legacy that's come to us from previous generations, and we must pass it on as living soil for future generations.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram, Rakesh ji, and everybody else who is there, namaskaram to you.
Welcome to this platform of Indian Council of Agricultural Research for this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So I again welcome you on behalf of the Indian Council of Agricultural Research and all the agriculture universities for this platform. Friends, as you could see from this very mesmerizing video on the movement of the Save Soil by Sadhguru, I think we can all understand that how this soil is important for our life, how this soil is important for the food security. For every aspect, soil is our, I can say, the mother. If you see, there are more in the soil, in 1 teaspoon of the soil, there are more microorganisms than the people on the earth. So these microorganisms are very important part in the soil. And you can see the soil is nothing but is a mixture that contains minerals, organic matter, and the living organisms. So we have to save the soil by any means for everything on the earth. So Sadhguru, may I just ask you that what has been the response from the United Nations and the national governments been like? In what ways is the Safe Soil working with the various governments and international bodies?
Namaskaram to all of you. Well, the response has been phenomenal. The UN agencies, we have 3 UN agencies as our partners and about 9 UN agencies supporting the movement in so many different ways. So literally, almost the entire UN family is with us. And the nations have responded wonderfully well. As you know, in COP15, soil became the main subject because that COP was about desertification. The UN mandate is such that they're supposed to address only desertification, not soil. But in spite of that, the General Secretary of the agency took it up, soil. There was some resistance in some quarters, but we went through this well. And how can you address desertification without addressing soil degradation? Simply, this is what it is about. So, we made unique documents for 193 nations based on its latitudinal position, its soil types, and the economic conditions of a given nation, and also considering the agricultural traditions of the nation, because you cannot change agricultural traditions overnight. Even if you have all the science on your side, you cannot change the agricultural traditions overnight. It's best to learn to work with them. That is the best thing we can do. Now, in many nations, the response is on and already action is on. For example, Guyana has allocated about 100 square kilometers of land for us to demonstrate how this can be done in that region. CARICOM nations have all signed up Totally now 80 nations have signed up in one level or the other, and about 11 states in India have signed up, and of course the central government, as you saw Prime Minister's enthusiasm for it. So, there are various kinds of policies that nations are coming up with, which is understandable based on their economic conditions and the level of aggravation that has happened with soil. So essentially the response across the world has been good. As you saw, one of the slides talking about China has started its process to, study the soil in that country and come up with a soil policy. EU is looking at that also, and Slovakia and Romania, all these places are doing that. Even Azerbaijan is doing a lot of stuff about reviving their soil. These are all at one time, just about 150 years ago, they were very fertile lands, but now they've become partial deserts. So desertification and soil degradation cannot be separated, but unfortunately, in the UN mandates, these things are separate. There are two different conventions for soil degradation cannot be separated, but unfortunately, in the UN mandates, these things are separate. There are two different conventions for this. So, it is very important to understand you cannot address climate change or global warming or water stress in the world or food security, you cannot address anything without addressing soil. The body that we carry is soil, the clothes that we wear is soil, the furniture that we are sitting on is soil, everything, our homes are soil, everything is coming from the land. There is nothing that we've imported from anywhere else. Everything that we use in our life is from the earth, and it's very important. The surface soil which handles agriculture and the food security for the nation, which we generally call as topsoil, approximately, I don't have to say these things to all of you, you're all experts in the field. Anyway, this 15 to 18 inches is our concern because we are severely damaging this with the industrial level of agriculture. Why this happened? For example, if we take India, as you mentioned, it is our pride that it is 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So what is it that happened in our country? See, in 1940s, 30s, 40s and even 50s, we had severe famines in this country. In the last 200 years since the British landed here, famines have been continuous because they disturbed the basic economic structure of this nation. So because of this, there have been continuous famines. Every 2 years, 3 years, we've been having very devastating famines. When we say a famine, it's not just a word. Famine is the most painful things that human beings go through, and sometimes it takes millions of lives. As 1943, famine took over 3.2 million people in India. So this is not like war that you just die if somebody shoots you or bombs you. This is a slow fade, 3 to 4 months it takes, and the level of degradation that happens to human beings and how a human being loses all sense of humanity and dignity of one's existence simply because they're being starved to death. So, we worked ourselves out of that. Whatever the green revolution that we did out of that, we have come out of it. Today we are a food surplus nation, which is a fantastic achievement. And also in 1947, the average life expectancy of an Indian person was 28 years of age. Today it's crossed 70. One important reason is the green revolution and the food security that we got. Or in other words, I'm saying all of us are alive today, largely because of fertilizers and chemicals and stuff. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to provide food for this nearly 1.4 billion people today. Having said that, so in our wanting to come out of destroyed our soil in the process, so in a way, if I have to put it in a lighter sense, in trying to feed ourselves, we stopped feeding the microbial life, which is the foundational life for our existence. It's not just about food, it's not just about soil, this is the foundational life, because these trillions of species which exist in the soil are the basis of our existence. Even in terms of evolution, this level of complexity of life happened only because of the complexity of species that exist in the soil. But today, according to UNFAO, where complexity of life happened only because of the complexity of species that exist in the soil. But today, according to UNFAO, we are losing approximately 27,000 species of organisms per year. At this rate, if we go in another 25 to 40 years, we could come to a place where what is a slide right now could go into a tumble, and we may not be able to do anything about it once it gets into that mode. So it's extremely important that when we talk about organic content, we are just talking about making sure the organisms are fed, because they can only eat organic content. They cannot eat anything else. So, making the soil alive, the most important thing that I would like to request and beseech every one of you, the scientists, is in our agriculture departments, in our universities, in our research stations, we must start referring to soil as a living entity. It is the largest living system, not only upon this planet, in the known universe it is the largest living system, but unfortunately most nations, nearly 85% of the nations on the planet, still refer to soil as an inert substance that we can fix by adding or subtracting something. Even the soil health cards should include the organic content levels, not just about nitrogen, this, that is only about how to exploit the soil. When we, in this country and in this culture, we have referred to soil as our mother, it's not only about exploitation, it is very important to see that how we care for it, because our life depends… how strong our life is, depends on how strong the strength of the soil is upon which we walk and live and eat out of on a daily basis. So, the response from the governments, UN agencies and various other private agencies has been phenomenal. We are working with variety of things. In fact, the amount of work that is coming to us is spilling out of our hands, because the number of private agencies which are seeking partnerships and wanting to do many meaningful things that many people are doing. So what I see is there is intention, there are many wonderful things being done. We need to create a scale which is of a global nature so that real solutions happen. This is where it is right now.
Thank you very much. And yes, we fully agree that we are food sufficient, we are food surplus rather, and we have seen the impact of this food surplus and the advantage of this during this COVID period, when everything was locked except the agriculture, and how nobody faced any shortage. And we must thank the soil that they would give us all this, and we must thank our scientists, our agriculture universities, the scientists of agriculture, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, for doing this wonderful. But we have to now think for the sustainable agriculture, as you have rightly told, that whatever has been done has to be now reoriented. So do you think, at least in terms of the awareness, the goal set out at the beginning of the campaign, which we have seen through the video, has been achieved? And what more remains to be done, and how can we, the scientists, play an important role in this movement which we have started?
So, at the beginning of the campaign, our goal was to touch over 3 billion people, because my idea was at least 60% of the voting population should become conscious about this. But on 23rd of June, our… there's a company or there's an agency which studies the social media and other media impact, and they came out and said by 23rd of June, we had touched 3.91 billion people. By now, after that, still the media and social media things have been on, so it's well over 4 billion people we have touched, which is, I think, well beyond our expectations and the goals we had set for ourselves. That speaks a lot for the enthusiasm and the readiness with which people responded to us, irrespective of which country we went, including Europe, Central Asia, Arabia, and of course India. The response was overwhelming. Most of the places, wherever, we always book the largest halls that we have in those cities, but in most places, within hours, these halls were full. And nobody imagined that people would be so interested in and concerned about soil. When I started in London, a journalist was interviewing me and she asked me, Sadhguru, why have you… I have been following you for so many years, why have you picked up such an unromantic subject? who will be excited about soil? Who is going to support you? This is not going to work. But it has become the largest movement on the planet, people's movement on the planet. Over 4 billion people have been touched. So, this is what I realized in the last 30 years I've been talking about this, but everybody says this is great and they will sleep on it. So what I realized was, as I spoke to various agencies, UN agencies, agricultural ministries across the world, various ministers, some heads of state, and also common people, what I saw was everybody knows what's the problem. And generally everybody knows what is the direction of the solution. But they have been just waiting for an idiot to come and bell the cat. So here I am. What to do?
Yes. So…
Rakeshji, you can't agree that I'm an idiot, come on. You can't say yes to that.
No. So, thank you very much for responding to that awareness program. But you told some example of Guyana. You have been given some land to demonstrate about this soil, other thing. Any such area identified in India also by the government has been given to you?
Given to us means we don't want to take the land per se. What we are asking for is to form farmer producer organizations, FPOs, to integrate them, and we are seeing how we can bring some funding as a core to attract all the farmers to that, so that they know this money belongs to them, but the money won't go in terms of cash to them, it will go in terms of enhancing the organic content in their lands, which will enhance the thing. But already we have demonstrated this substantially in southern India. For example, we have worked with about 132,000, 1,32,000 farmers, and in about 5 to 7 years' time, their incomes have multiplied anywhere between 3 to 8 times over, 300 to 800% increase. Recently, the Secretary General of Commonwealth Nations, the Baroness came to visit our farms and she couldn't believe it. The farmers have become so prosperous and the land is so rich, and above all, the nutritional value of the food that they grow is so high. 132,000 farmers looks like a large number, but in India that is a small number. Now we are working in the Kaveri Basin where it is 83,000 square kilometers and 5.2 million farmers. It is still in its infancy, but last 2 years, in spite of the COVID, we have managed to plant about 62 million trees, I think, overall in the farmers' lands, and fortunately the Karnataka government now gives subsidy for planting trees in farmers' lands. This is called tree-based agriculture, this is not afforestation. This is tree-based agriculture, using the foliage of the tree to enhance the land quality, and also with a few animals. Very easily this can be done. This is not rocket science, this needs a proper direction and a relentless commitment to turn this around. In 7 to 8 years, a maximum of 7 to 8 years' time, we can easily multiply the farmer's income, take the organic content well over 3 to 4%, and reduce the irrigation levels significantly. We have found when we raise the organic content to 8 to 10%, the irrigation requirement comes down to 30% of what we are using. As you know, India is water stressed. Right now it is expected by 2032, 3.5 billion people on the planet will be water stressed, and agriculture being one of the largest consumer of water, bringing down the usage of water in agriculture is an important part that cannot be done without enhancing the quality of the soil, the aliveness of the soil. So, we have already demonstrated what is missing here is, there is no one large stretch of land. This is individual farmers, 132,000 farmers in different places. Now, in Guyana, they're giving us 100 square kilometer land. We are also in conversation with the Karnataka government to take up one whole district and do this, or if one district, Chikkabalapur district is what we looked at, it is 4,000 plus square kilometers, we won't be able to take up and work that. Probably we will work with 100 or 200 square kilometers to integrate these farmers as one farmer producer organization. So when I was in Guyana, the president was very forthcoming and he said, we should do it, we are ready to do it, what do you need? So I said, see, without proper legislations and laws, just trying to do it is not going to work. He asked me what law. See, I said, first of all, the FPO law from India, the legislation which made FPOs, you need to take that. So he said, send me the copy within 1 week. So it's already done, we just send the copy of the legislation and they have done it there and they're ready to take the next steps. So this level of enthusiasm is there in the governments. Demonstration has already happened, the UN agencies have witnessed this and that is why they are supporting Kaveri calling in such a big way. Looking at the success of Kaveri calling on the ground, the central government made detailed project reports for 13 river basins, as we have done in Kaveri. They did 13 river basins projects and we were trying to push it for action. Just now this year, about 3 months ago or 2 months ago, they allocated 19,000 crores for these 13 river basins. If this kind of budget goes in for another 8 to 10 years, 67% of India's land will be well above the crest and very alive.
We salute your passion, your dedication, your commitment for this movement. It's really a great service for the humanity. Now, I could see in your video the comments, some comments by Professor Ratan Lal. He's our colleague from India, and he got this World Food Prize. So, do you have any involvement of Dr. Ratan Lal in this movement also?
Yes, we are very involved with him and also the organization, what is that? ICA organization. So we are working with them in the Caribbean area and he's been in a way a scientific advisor for various things that we are doing. He's not the only person, we are very deeply engaged with the FAO scientists, but he's also been one of the mentors to nurture this whole thing.
Okay. Sadhguru, have you already implemented and tried some of the recommendations you are making in the Safe Soil Policy book? And if so, how have these trials turned out?
Safe Soil Policy is an academic presentation of what we have done in the last 27 years on ground. Clearly demonstrated that it works. Because I wouldn't like to experiment with farmer's life, that's the last thing we would like to do. It's well established. We would like some of you to come and visit these farms and see how the farmers' lives have changed and the soil conditions have changed. It'll be great if you can make a study and publish that.
Yeah. Today there is so much talk about soil being a great potential for carbon sink, while you have focused consistently on increasing the soil organic matter. As scientists, we in IST, we understand the relationship between soil organic matter and the soil organic carbon. That is, soil organic carbon multiplied by 1.73 is your organic matter. Do you want to share with the audience why the emphasis is on soil organic content rather than soil organic carbon?
See, the carbon dioxide has received too much attention because this is driven by certain activists who are essentially working to bring down the emissions in the world. I'm not saying that is not important, that is also a very significant problem, it needs to be worked at. But this is an environmental problem, we are talking about an ecological problem. If we do not separate soil from the other environmental concerns, which will run into the headwind of various businesses like oil industry, automobile industry, coal industry, fertilizer industry, pesticide industry, you will run head-on into all of them and they have not built up overnight, they have taken few decades to come up. Now they are not going to go down all of a sudden, but if we enhance the soil organic matter, then naturally the usage of fertilizer will start going down. If you change the farming methods, the usage of all these chemicals will start going down. I am not absolutely against these things, I am not somebody who wants to fight them because we are alive because of them. This is… I know everybody, all the people who are in this space who call themselves environmental activists are going to hate this. But I'm saying this, I'm honest about this, all of us as Indians, we are alive because of the Green Revolution And green revolution did not happen without chemicals, without fertilizers. That was the revolution. We started using fertilizer and chemicals. So now a time has come, we've damaged our soil, we need to reverse that. We need to do more sustainable ways of doing it, that's another matter. But for all these things, we first have to be alive, and for that, thanks to green revolution. So right now, I hear that a lot of people, debunking, people who have done nothing in their lives on social media, debunking our Dr. Swaminathan and saying he's no good, it's only because of him everything is damaged. This is all, people who have done nothing ever in their lives. So this is going on all the time, so I keep telling them, see, you're all perfect people. You have never committed a mistake in your life because you've never done anything in your life. Only if you do something, you can commit a mistake. So, from a famine-ridden nation to bring this nation to food exporting nation is not a simple thing, and that has happened. A whole generation of us have benefited from that. But a time has come to change the mode of function. Now that we are well-equipped, economically we are capable of turning this around, this is the time to turn it around. So, having said that, the important thing why we are talking about organic matter, not about carbon, is this is about soil. This is not about air pollution. But if you raise the soil organic matter, the amount of carbon that it will sequester is quite phenomenal. What we have done is for the Kaveri calling, we are looking at planting 2.42 billion trees or, to grow that many trees in the Kaveri basin. So the UN agencies have calculated and say, if you plant this many trees, 9 to 12 trillion liters of water will be sequestered, 200 to 300 million tons of CO2 will be sequestered. So if this happens in 13 river basins, you can imagine what will happen. If it happens across the country, we have solved the problem, all right? Without enhancing the soil biome, sequestering carbon just by this and that technology is not the answer, because carbon is not our enemy. We are all carbon life. Life on this planet is a chain of carbon. In this chain, the life cycle or the carbon cycle, soil is the most important link, and that is wearing thin, very thin, dangerously thin. So if that has to revive, we need soil organic matter, which will naturally handle the soil carbon. But soil carbon is not our business. Our business is to keep the soil alive, and naturally if the soil is alive, it will sequester substantial amounts of carbon. Whatever different numbers that people are throwing out is fine, but will it sequester or not, there is no question about it. It sequesters enormous amount of carbon. Above all, we have to put back as much green leaf as possible, whether it comes as crops or cover crops, as bushes or trees, whatever, we need more green leaf because this is oxygen manufacturing factories. And this photosynthesis on the planet has sunk significantly. In the last 1,000 years, they say 85% of photosynthesis has been removed, so we've destroyed all oxygen manufacturing plants and we are trying to catch carbon dioxide molecules in the air. I'm not trying to make fun out of it. I know that is also important, but it is very important we enrich the atmosphere with oxygen, and that is only possible with lot of green leaf. Agricultural lands must be covered with green leaf. Either crop must be there, or cover crop must be there, or partially planted trees must be there. In some way, green leaf must be there, which will in turn sequester carbon and in turn keep the soil alive and in turn replenish the soil with the leaf that falls down and a few animals, because the only two sources of organic content on the planet are plant life and animal life. I'm saying this, I don't have to say this to the scientists that you are, but there is a problem among the young people. Wherever I go, they say, Sadhguru, my friend has invented an app, it can solve all these problems. So whatever app you have, it doesn't matter what app you have, organic content comes only from plant life and animal life. Today our farms have become like this. There is no plant life, there is no animal life, there are only machines roaming the lands. This is not good because the machines don't put back anything, they only destroy by opening it up. So I'm even talking to various robotic companies to bring light machines which will work day and night, where if you have to apply fertilizer or pesticide, it can apply in very micro doses in a doctored manner where it is necessary, not bringing it in airplanes and dumping pesticides and vermicides all across the land and colossal destruction. So we need to look at all these things. Right now we are studying these possibilities of building robotic machines where it is needed in the future, because we have made a kind of survey with the farmers. What we have found is, right now 62% of India's population is in farming. But when we did a survey, we found not even 2% of the farmers want their children to become farmers. How are we going to feed these populations in another 25 years when this generation passes? So we just don't have any plan. Robotics is very, very important to free human hands to do something else, and for everything right now there is a human hand, and for everything there are large destructive machines. We have to build very small micro machines which will go around. As bugs and insects go around, we can make machines which will go around, and similar kind of reverse job for agriculture. And this is very important step to do. And if I can, I know you're all scientists, but if I can tell you a story, if you permit me, I'll tell you a story.
Please. Yes, you have rightly told that we have to go for the precision agriculture. The use of robotics or whatever you have told is nothing but we are also promoting the use of this precision and digital agriculture. And until unless you use the technology, I think we cannot survive in the future. So in the same series, I can tell you that Indian Council of Agriculture Research, through its one of the very important project, NICRA project, National Innovation on Climate Resilient Agriculture, is doing a lot of interventions. Mulching also we are promoting for the farmers. Sadhguru, can you respond please, in your experience, how should the farming community in India approach this problem of soil degradation? And what should, as we as a scientists, do to support both the governments and the farmers to reverse the degradation?
See, one socio-economic situation that we must realize which affects farming is, many farmers, I cannot tell you what is the percentage, but a large percentage of farmers on doing agriculture like it's the end game. Because their children have already gotten college education and they're looking for jobs elsewhere, or they're already employed somewhere else, so children are not coming back to the farm, they know that. So they are doing it like an end game till the real estate prices go up and they can sell the land or do something else, but they are not looking at continued or sustained agriculture. So this is a socio-economic situation in the country, because we have what is called as compulsory education, where children go to school, academic school, where there is no farming, there is no any education about farming. So even if they just finish their 12th standard, they're already 17, 18 years of age. So both physically and mentally, they are not equipped to go back to farming, they all want to move into something else. Yes, 62% of the population need not be in farming, we could reduce that. But this is a colossal migration without the necessary organizational change. This could seriously affect us. So what do we have to do? The most important thing is, farming should become a lucrative process. At least a farmer should earn as much as a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or whatever other professions which drive young people to urban centers. At least that much they must earn. Otherwise, in another 30 years' time, there'll be hardly anybody living on the farms. Everybody will move into urban centers, which could be disastrous for the country and for the world in many different ways. We as a nation have a latitudinal spread from Kanyakumari to Himalayas. The latitudinal spread that we have and the types and the variety of soils and climates that we have, we can almost grow any crop that grows anywhere in the world. That is the capability we have. And we still have 60% of the population who have skills in agriculture, which is not easy to teach to new set of people. So, at a time like this, if we come up with a very strong, dynamic and revolutionary agricultural policies, we can make India as a breadbasket to the world. Now you have seen the value of a nation which provides food for the world. a war happens, the whole world is supporting one nation simply because they have been the source of food. So this is the value of food. So it's very important that we not only grow food for ourselves, we can grow food for the world, at least the Asian part of the world, or Arabia, which is close to us and which is incapable of growing its own food for the kind of terrains that they have. To large parts of the world, we can provide food because very few nations have the depth of agricultural knowledge that our farmers have. But unfortunately, they look uneducated, they may not be able to articulate what is what, but if you really sit with a local farmer, which I know all of you know, what he knows there, it is not intellectual, he just knows everything that he needs to know to grow a crop. Like even if somebody does a big MBA or even MSc in agriculture, they may not be able to grow successfully crops on the land. But this illiterate farmer knows exactly what to do, and because it's very intrinsic traditional knowledge, we just have to tweak him up with modern technology, modern knowledge, scientific knowledge that all of you have. If this can be transmitted or transferred to the farm level, I know efforts are being made from the universities, but I think more as a policy that this must go to everybody if this happens, and this cannot happen unless we incentivize. We have to incentivize because right now farmers' economy is such, if you shake it a little bit, the whole thing will collapse. It is in that condition. So little bit happens, he has to sell the land and go. That is the kind of condition they are in. So strong incentives which are production-oriented, not simply waving off loans and stuff like that, but production-oriented, if you do this, you will get this much money. This is what a model we are trying to set up. We are looking for funding from various agencies. If that comes up, we want to set up an FPO with 10 to 25,000 farmers covering, let's say, 100 square kilometers or 200 square kilometers of land, and then see how this main fund that we have put there becomes an attraction for the farmers, that it is their money. It is their money 100%, there is no strings to it, only thing is, it is not given as cash. It will be given to improve the land condition and how they grow their crops, definitely which will increase their income. Right now, wherever they have put this tree-based agriculture, what we are seeing is, every 12 years when they crop these trees even partially, the amount of money that they are getting is equivalent to the amount they would get if they sell the land. So every 12 years, they can sell the land and still keep the land. Once there are trees on the land, they are not going to leave that land and go to the city because tree is a standing wealth.
That's very good movement and very good initiative. I can again compliment your effort, your thinking, and your innovation. So you have been traveling, as we could see from the video, non-stop post-rally also, where all you have been journeyed, and what has been the outcome? What has been the response from various state governments, and how do you see the journey towards implementing a comprehensive soil policy for India?
So, post this 100-day journey, I've been, these days you like, right now, I don't know where you are, sir, Rakesh ji?
I'm from Indian Council of Agricultural Research.
No,
I'm heading the agriculture education.
In which Delhi. City are you right now? Delhi?
New Delhi.
Okay. So you're in Delhi, I'm here, so either you have traveled to Isha Yoga Center or I have traveled to Delhi, or we met in between, but here we are talking to each other. So my travels after the 100-day journey has not all been physical. There has been a series of Zoom calls where we have been talking to various agricultural ministries. Slovakia has gone ahead and framing a policy, European Union is doing that. And I traveled physically to Trinidad and Guyana and was in touch with all the CARICOM nations. Immediately after my trip, they had a CARICOM meeting the week after I left. So they're taking up the soil policy for the entire region, because right now they're importing over 90% of their food requirement from outside, and the food that is being dumped in those Caribbean nations is very low-quality food from advanced nations, and 42% of Caribbean male population is diabetic, and they're really concerned about it. Now they've kind of woken up. Some of these countries have now recently found oil, so they're economically little better. They want their people to eat better, they want to grow their own food. They have enormous land. Countries like Guyana, Suriname, they have enormous land and they can grow food for the Caribbean nations, island nations. Unfortunately, because of forced food practices, none of the island nations are fish-eating nations. They've all become beef-eating nations because somebody wants to sell their beef to them. So, we are starting a movement to bring back vegetables and fish into their diet. As a part of this, some of the nations, we are sending Indian chefs from here because part of the population is Indian there, Indian origin. And we are sending Indian chefs because their cooking methods are very simple. They don't know how to make vegetarian meals properly. So to Indian chefs who will go and demonstrate in hotels and in other public places how to make fish and vegetarian dishes in a tasty manner so that the population will take to it. So this is a multi-pronged effort because without people's support, nothing will be successful.
Yes, thank you very much. Friends, we can also understand for changing climate, as we have seen, just 2 days back I was reading in the newspapers, in European countries also you can see how the climate change has affected. There are droughts, there are a lot of unwanted temperature rise. And I think for all that, we have to take care of this soil, which again is a very important constituent for our growth, for our food security. You can see from his talk that a well-managed soil can really take a lot of carbon from the atmosphere in the soil. So that can really help us. So it has multiple advantages. And I think we can take a commitment during this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years, that yes, we will make all efforts to save our soil so that we can save our lives, we can save our humanity, we can really save a lot of other unforeseen things. And we can prepare ourselves for the future. We cannot predict the future, but at least we can prepare ourselves for the future. So
one thing I would like to… at this point, one thing I would like to say, sir, in the Western cultures, everybody is too concerned about global warming and carbon sequestration, these things, these are important, but we must look at the source of this. One of the biggest problems that United States and Europe is right now facing is the heat and in turn, the fires that are happening, large-scale fires. When I was in United States, just 15 days ago I was there and as I was there, I asked how many fires are happening right now. They said 83 live fires are on right now in United States, which will take 15 days to 1 month to control, minimum. 83 fires are going on in United States simultaneously. I had not imagined that many. I thought 1 or 2 or 3 would be there. 83 fires were going on. And so it happened in Europe also. France and Italy and Spain, all of them were having large-scale fires. So what is global warming? There are many ways to look at it. I know all of you are scientists, but my simple way of looking at it is, if you go and touch plowed land on a hot day, what is the temperature of the soil? With your own hands, you don't need a barometer or a thermometer. Just touch it with your hands, what's the temperature? There is grass growing on the land, what is the temperature? There are bushes, what is the temperature? Under the tree, what is the temperature? In my experience, I find the distinction in India could be anywhere between 8 to 12 degrees centigrade, from open soils which are in the sun to what is under a shade of a tree. So this is global warming, 8 degrees, 12 degrees. This is huge global warming. And once this happens, once the land is plowed and left open, the moisture content in the soil has gone down because there is not enough organic content for the organisms to thrive. Without the organisms and the fluff that they create in the soil, there is no water holding capability for the soil. As we said, if we plant this many trees, they're calculating that it could sequester 9 to 12 trillion liters of water. So water is there in the soil. If there is enough water in the soil, fires won't happen as they're happening right now. The soil has become dry, every stick, every leaf catches fire because there is no humidity in the soil. So without bringing shade, without bringing green leaf back on the soil, there is no way we can handle global warming because the radiation that the soil creates is definitely creating a lot. People are focusing only on the emissions. Emissions are an important issue. We are doing things to bring down the emissions in the world, that is fine, but war is a big emission. First thing is we must stop that. Look, for a automobile that you drive, everybody is checking your scooter or moped or a motorcycle that you ride, how much emission is coming. Look at the tanks and the jets and the missiles that are being fired, the amount of emissions that they're creating, the amount of heat that they're creating. First thing is that they must stop. The same nations which are talking about stopping all this, they're always busy supplying military equipment to everybody else. Military equipment is a massive emission thing, so bringing back green cover is very, very important. We cannot bring back forests in countries like India because the population pressure is there. We must do tree-based agriculture. We have to bring trees on the land. In this, Karnataka has been a pioneering effort because they gave the subsidy, 125 rupees subsidy spread over 4 years, where if a farmer just takes a picture and puts it on the website, money will go straight to his account. And Karnataka Chief Minister, the present Chief Minister and the past Chief Minister, both of them have been very dynamically supporting this movement, and the success of this depends on the political leadership's determination. When you asked how are the states, almost every state publicly they have declared that they are 100% with this, but this is a kind of between center and state. Center is examining this. We are beginning to work with the Niti Aayog. We hope in the next 2 to 3 months, we will come up with a economic policy for the cover crops, which will make a lot of difference for India, because in the summer months, India is looking like a brown desert. If you bring cover crops, significant difference will happen to the soil. Every year, if you grow a cover crop and plow it back into the soil for 2-3 years' time or maybe 4 years' time, we can get the soil above 3% organic content, because each cover crop could add anywhere between 1 to 1.5 inches, 1 to 1.5 inches of humus on a yearly basis. This could make a lot of difference. So, many things are being done, but organizations like yours, if you stand up, you have more credibility than me. People ask me, what is my qualification? I have no qualification. With all your qualifications, you must take this up and take this ahead. I've brought attention to it, but ultimately policy will happen because of all of you. Thank you very much for having me.
Passion is more important than the education. Your commitment is more important than the education. One of our top soil scientists, Dr. Ashok Patra, just if you permit, I can take one question. So he's the director of the Indian Institute of Soil in ICAR. So to meet the food production targets of India, fertilizers use is very important. Best management of organic and inorganics are very important in that context. What is your opinion in this scenario to enhance the organic content in soil?
As I've already said, I'm not against anything. I'm not anti this, anti that. See, these kind of things, urban people will talk like this, let's do organic farming. If we eliminate all fertilizer and chemicals from the agriculture tomorrow morning, our food production on the planet will come down to 25% of what we are producing right now. I'm a well-experienced farmer myself, I've lived on the land, I've grown crops. If we do not put fertilizer and pesticide, yield will come down to 25%. That is death for humanity. So, we must be very careful in saying these things. I am not talking about organic farming, I am not talking about any type of farming. What kind of farming a farmer does, leave it to him. Only thing we are saying is just enhance the organic content, incentivize enhancement of organic content, which will make the soil alive. As the organic content increases, the need for fertilizer will start coming down. I am never talking about no fertilizer business. If you need to use it, you must use it. It's like you may eat good food, but still if something is lacking, you take a vitamin pill. It is just that we must treat the soil as we treat our body, because our body and soil are not two different things. We must use chemicals in a doctored manner, not in a mass manner as we're doing right now. So, It is a very wrong notion that people have, we can just eliminate chemicals and grow everything naturally. Well, we will pay a huge price if we attempt anything like that. It's very, very important that we approach this judiciously and sensibly.
That's correct. We have to maintain a balance. So thank you very much, Sadhguru, and I thank your all team for this excellent arrangement, for giving the time, for making it possible to have your views. And I request my colleague, Mr. Ravi Prakash, who did this contact, to please say words of thanks. Mr. Ravi Prakash, he is the director of the International Relations.
If I can take a few seconds, sir.
Please,
I would
please.
like to request all of you at this organization, all of you scientists, you're hugely qualified, your voices should rise. If you can, all of you can open a Twitter account, we will support you. Please, every day scientists should say something about the soil scientifically, so that the government and everybody else who is in the polity and also the people understand this is a genuine concern, this is not just a social movement, this is a genuine concern and there is substantial scientific backbone to it. I would beseech all of you scientists and all of you colleagues in different organizations to do this on a regular basis till it is done. It is not done, only campaign is done. The work is not done, the work has to start now. So till it is done, another few years, if we keep up this thing, our voices high, especially qualified voices, if you keep them high, I am sure we will achieve these targets. Thank you very much. Please,
sure. We promise we will do whatever possible is from Aisha's side. So, Mr. Ravi Prakash, please.
Thank you, sir, and Namaskaram, Sadhguru. On behalf of the entire ICR and the National Agriculture Research System fraternity, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to express our profound gratitude for being with us today, despite your hectic schedule. We consider ourselves to be extremely fortunate and are truly delighted to be in your presence, Sadhguru. We really had a scintillating, fruitful and captivating interaction. Sadhguru's Save Soil movement is a timely reminder to the humanity to unite together to avert the imminent crisis of rapid degradation of the soil, which is the very basis of all life on the planet, including ours. As you rightly said, Sadhguru, that soil is not our property, but it's a legacy that belongs to the next generation. With these words, I once again thank Sadhguru for his benevolent presence and useful insights in suggesting pragmatic solutions to save soil. I also would like to thank Dr. Agarwal for his valuable contribution and beautifully curating this session. A profound note of thanks to all the distinguished invitees for joining this session. Last but not the least, a big thanks to Isha team for their constant support and guidance to make this wonderful session a possibility for all of us. So I conclude by saying, save soil, let's make it happen. Pranam.
Thank you, Ravi, and I thank all my colleagues, Deputy Director Generals, our Professor R.B. Singh, many Vice Chancellors. I see a lot of top officers, top soil scientists of our India who have joined in a big number, and this was also live streamed through the YouTube, which has been seen by many students and many other audience. So thank you, Sadhguru, and thanks to everybody. Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Namaskar.